Hello everybody and welcome to Cause and Effect, a show about Vetes. I would like to start by welcoming my co-host, Dr. Adam Esbjörnsson. Say hello.
Hello.
And Dr. Esbjörnsson Bjärmark, Isak. Say hello.
Hello.
The reason why I'm calling my co-host doctors today is because we're going to have our second deck clinic, hopefully better than the last time. We have a little bit more prepared. But before we start operating, Adam, how has your Vetes week been?
It was fun. Yeah, playing. I just had my regular Wednesday Vetes session, and yeah, I got to play my Imbue deck and had got to face off a Weenie DBR deck. So I won.
So you won, of course.
Yes. Oh, also there was a Deep Song Rush deck, which can't rush allies. So yeah, it was good for me.
Sounds fun. And Isak?
Yeah, I've lost my virginity twice this week. My Vetes virginity. I played Top Dogs for the first time in my life, and I played Imbues for the first time in my life.
How did you do?
Imbues I only play once, and I won, so great. Top Dog I played twice, and I won one of those times, so okay.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah, and you?
Yeah, I had a good week this week. I played Weenie Dementation, and managed to get a table split. Wasn't like woohoo, but what can you do? And I played the awesome Keystone Kind Dabbler deck and managed to win a 4-player table.
Did you sweep?
Yes, I believe I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you, it's awesome.
You think it's the best deck ever?
Yes, it's really the best deck ever. I'm going to soon post a description and a deck list on the weekend.net, and everybody will be amazed and hail me as their king. Anywho,
I'm waiting.
Good. Anyhow, so we're going to try a deck clinic today. Are you guys excited?
Yeah, actually, I am.
Yes, sure.
Okay, so we can take up the deck that we have selected this week is Baltimore Purge deck by I don't know, I'm probably not gonna pronounce this right, by Alexander Itzhak, maybe. Yeah. So
I think that's somewhere around the ballpark.
Yeah. And, anyway, yeah. So why did we wanna? What about this deck caught you guys' attention?
It felt like a strong deck. Like it has a lot of potential to be competitive, but there was something like a few things that I feel like should be in a deck like this. I think we'll go further into that later, but like the first glaring thing for me was the crypt acceleration. There's no crypt acceleration, and I felt like I could probably put in there, and then yeah.
Okay. Isak? Yeah.
What caught my attention is I've been playing Mind Rape Purge decks for some 6 months now, but I never done one solely on La Sombras, so that caught my attention. Oh, maybe something here, and also it was the point that me and Adam had to agree on a deck, so this is where we agreed.
Okay. Yeah, well, so anyhow, Itzhak, when he sent in the deck, he said he had this description. I'm quoting. The goal is to play Baltimore Purge, then Grave Rob, or Diabolize minions and oust with bleeds. And the reason that he wanted to send it into the deck clinic was that he found it quite difficult to execute the combo Baltimore Purge plus grave robbing and to oust after the purge. So hopefully when we're done with this show we will have a better alternative, so people may oust afterwards. And he also added that he found that the deck works at its best when he managed to play Ankle Cog on Moncada. which I believe maybe say, but any given deck is a little bit better with Enkel Cog, so we're not gonna focus on that part.
Yes, I totally
But
agree
of
with
course.
you.
Yeah, well, this is, as we said, mono La Sombra Baltimore Purge deck. So the key actions is, of course, Baltimore Purge, and then grave robbing, as you said in the what's it called, description, and just yeah, trying to oust with bleeds and with the govern down a line, and some conditioning, I believe. Okay, so yeah, do you have anything more like to add on this first?
Something that I thought
Yes.
was interesting was there's a 13 Vampire Crypt in this deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to say about it, but it's interesting in that, like, it's an interesting option. 13 Vampire Crypt. It's not that common, and it could be really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, like, the star vampire, Ambrosio Luis Moncada, maybe? Isak, could you tell us a little bit about him?
He's not allowed to block, and the actions against him cost an extra additional pool. But the strongest part of his card text, obviously, being the part of him in your discard forward phase, you have the option to untap another La Sombra. So that also makes you have that special, the option to untap another ready La Sombra during discard phase, and the ability to target with Baltimore Purge. Those two in combo speaks for making this deck a mono La Sombra deck. Because as I've played this before, is to play it with Arikia or some 11 cap, and then have like sidekicks that are La Sombras to just get this targeting ability. But here you can use the special, and that way you don't need any wakes or a lot fewer wakes with your deflections. So you save card slots in your library with that special. And other big strengths of his being Spear Presence and Inferior Fortitude.
Yeah, of course.
And so it's a very, very strong vampire.
Yeah. Isak mentioned the ability to target with Baltimore Purge. Adam, maybe you should take a little quick tour around Baltimore, and tell us about the city.
Right. Baltimore Purge is an action that makes you next untap phase be able to put vampires of equal capacity or lower in torpor. So with La Sombra you get to choose who that is. Without La Sombra you can't. So obviously with Baltimore Purge you want La Sombras in play, and in this deck you get to do the trick with the La Sombra like faster. If you want to get out the La Sombra without like say Erica, which is 1 cap higher, and then maybe a La Sombra might be 3 cap more, so that's 4 more transfers. So playing Baltimore Purge in this deck makes the Baltimore Purge go off 1 round earlier, because like more or less because you're playing with La Sombras, like Star Vampire La Sombras.
Okay, but that would obviously be a problem if, especially now in this meta, at least in Sweden, with a lot of 11 caps.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, it's obviously a drawback playing with 10 caps, but this have to be a meta choice, as you said. If you expect 11 cap meta, purging with a 10 cap is just stupid. Sorry to say it so harsh, but it's very, very wrong. Because you don't have an option when facing something that's older you. It's just like, okay, no mind rips. Okay, I'll take my 10 cap and bleed for 3 with govern, and you can do that for 5 caps just as easily. So it gets incredibly bad.
Something else with a deck like this is that it's already is a meta choice. You can't have a deck like this and presume to function well in any environment, even if Ambrosio was an 11 cap or a 12 cap for that matter. Because it's a meta choice. Baltimore Purge is strong against vampires that are a bit stronger, like higher cap vampires. And if you want to meta against non-11 cap decks, and you want to meta against the 8 caps and the 7 caps, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you only lose one capacity of a window there, and that window you wouldn't have gotten either way with, say, an Arica Mind Rape deck.
Okay.
So I don't think there's much to gain from that one capacity if you play heavily on Baltimore Purge.
Okay. Just to get this out of the way, is there anywhere like why not put in a Master Discipline cards?
Right, the thought crossed my mind when I built my version, but
Yeah, obviously to be able to Baltimore Purge 11 caps.
Right.
Just for the record. Yeah.
but it's a master phase action. You might not draw it at the opportune time. You probably don't want to face 11 cap decks anyway. There's lots of reasons why that's a waste in most situations.
Like choices you can, or like that is a problem that you can avoid at the concept level of building. When you're doing your concept and then you make a choice, is this good or bad in this meta? Oh, we have a lot of 11 caps. Then the like solution, air quoting here, should not be like, oh, let's add a few skill cards and gain a few capacity. The correct response, in my opinion, should be, okay, this deck is good against this and this and this, and it's bad against that and that and that. And then you should choose a deck that works well against certain types. So if you want to Baltimore Purge 11 caps, you actually do. I'd say you actually do need to play an 11 cap yourself.
Yeah, of course. So maybe we should go back to the other parts of the original deck and the crypt. What more guys do we have in the crypt, Isaac?
Here it gets, for me, I don't know really the English word for it, but there is no like straight choice for me. There's very, like, this is 13 crypt. This is 9 different vampires. That's our kind of sidekicks to Ambrosios, and I'm not sure where you want to go with this deck, because there's not enough votes in the crypt to be a reliable like backup with votes. There's not enough fortitude in the crypt to be able to have all sidekicks being able to do the freak out trick. So I'm a bit puzzled by the wide variety of sidekick vampires, or however you want to put it. So,
there's one other 10 cap in the deck. Isaac, sorry, Adam. What do you think about Marcus Vittel Advanced as a sidekick?
I think he's more or less another Ambrosio. He's a 10 cap that is La Sombra and can play like the same cards Ambrosio can, more or less. Oh, sorry, I have the base up. So I don't really like see a specific. The only reason why you want to include both of them, like have one Marcus and 4 Ambrosio, is if you at some point want to bring out both Marcus and Ambrosio. And I have a hard time seeing you be able to afford that. So I don't think it's particularly good, but he's like an extra Ambrosio. So if you don't draw Ambrosio, you probably will draw Marcus, right? So.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, there's either Marcus or Ambrosio choice, in my opinion. So the obvious advantage with Marcus being that you can play as Obfuscate and Superior.
Yeah.
Easier time pushing through your different stuff.
But this deck does not include Obfuscate.
Yeah, obviously.
It has a drawback as well, the Advance.
Yeah.
Right.
No, right.
Which is...
Bruya may enter combat with. So he can be rushed by Bruyas.
Yeah, but there's a little bit corner case. I mean, if a Bruya want to rush you, will probably do that anyway.
Yeah.
So.
The biggest problem probably being that you lose Ambrosio's specials if you bring out Marcus instead of him.
Yeah, of course. Okay, other parts of the deck. We talked a little bit about the Masters. He didn't play Crypt Acceleration. Are there any other parts that you would like to bring up to discussion, Adam?
Yeah, he includes Zed River Ferry, Elysian Fields, and the Monastery of Shadows. That's a lot of like if you want to see patterns, that's like a huge pattern to include this many permanent stealth locations, or stealth. Yeah, it's a location as well. It's a bit like it's a stylistic choice, of course.
Yeah, he has some stealth equipment as well.
Yeah, that's a river ferry.
Yeah.
It's one of the three.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. For me, like, Fame in this deck feels kind of right and also kind of wrong. I don't know.
I feel that's like the same thing as the Discipline Master. That like it could be good and it like could be useful, but you need to draw it at the right time and you need to have the right prey, and there's lots of things that need to work together to make it happen.
Yeah, but I am personally a big fan of Fame. I like it in several decks, not just Rush decks.
Well, this
trick decks with Fame is awesome. It's just nobody expects this, and then you go for an awesome oust.
Nobody expects. It's usually not a good way to start off a deck concept.
Also, that's not the case with Baltimore Purge, since you can expect Baltimore Purge. It's delayed for 1 turn, so to be able to just use it when you need it, you need to play the Fame 1 turn and then have Ankle Cog and then do it out of turn. Otherwise, he can. Since normally you want to Baltimore Purge someone that's untapped or someone that's good in some other way, but if you put the Fame on someone, they'll get a 1 turn advance to be able to like think things through before they. You have the opportunity to put them in torpor.
Yeah. So that's of course the huge advantage with playing Ankle Cog, be able to purge out of turn.
Yeah.
Okay. There are 2 allies in the deck.
Yeah. I think Alexander argues something along these lines, that you need Carlton for contesting or whatever, so that you make sure that you don't get burned by Carlton if you Diablerize. And I think Milan is included because of the untap thing, just like a Router's Hand or something like that. Same reasoning. But I don't think I agree. Maybe with Carlton, but on the other hand, you have no real way of making sure you keep him. So it's probably better to just have DI and save them for if someone plays Carlton, to DI Carlton. Something like that.
Yeah, Adam, so a quickie then. How is it played?
Presumably you just turn up Ambrosio and get off a Purge. That's like the first thing. If you don't have the stealth, you need to do some other actions before that. But I think the most important part is to get off a Purge early, so that everyone gets screwed in the gameplay. And if you get the chance, you should govern Superior as well to get
you have 10 freak drives in the deck. I don't know if we mentioned that, but it's a huge part of the deck to be able to multi-act, of course.
So the first Purge should, and hopefully you'll have your 10 cap up and start acting around the same time as everyone else has their 10 cap up and start acting, so you can get some real juicy targets with the first Purge, and then you grave rob them. I think that's like how you want the first 4 or 5 turns to go.
Okay. So what are strengths and weaknesses, Isak?
11 caps being an obvious weakness. As any Star Vampire deck, you have issues with being pentexed. I don't think this deck will resist against Weenie decks particularly well, especially Weenie decks, like Weenie Bleed, Weenie Rush,
Weenie Block.
Yeah, almost makes Weenies.
Weenie Vote. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So this deck is particularly good at like Justicard decks based around the Justicars, or the 8/7 cap Dominate decks that start off with a few governors down, like a Kaiser deck or something like that. Against those deck, I think this is kind of brilliant. But anything that starts off or ends off with Weenie, you're probably kind of screwed. As in, I don't think you stand a chance actually.
No, I think you need to get help.
Yeah, some
You need
be
some
lucky.
talking magic.
Yes, be lucky, or they being unlucky or something like that. But yeah, that,
Okay, yeah. So preferably you play some purchase, do a grave robbing, and then just bleed out your prey, or
yeah, that's more or less the game plan. And the thing is, you gain a lot if, especially if you meet those kind of Justicar decks that relies on the one action a turn, like Onada, Lucian, Malistrick, maybe Marianne Blair. I don't know. Those Justicars loses a lot when the purge goes off.
yeah.
Oh, right. We should probably mention that, that Ambrosio goes into torpor should be only a blood cost. You should just leave torpor and then freak drive, or rescue with one of your weenies, and yeah.
Yeah, don't leave him in torpor.
But that's like a weakness,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah, of
huge
course.
one. If you're blocked there, you're
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway. So that's kind of like what we have to work with anyway. So what was the first thing you thought about, Isaac, when it came to changes?
I was kind of happy with the library. I feel it was a good library. Of course, I made some improvements, but the biggest part for me being the crypt, because that crypt did not work for me at all. It's again, I can't find the English word, but it's very, very wide. There's too much going on, and I don't agree with Marcus Vintel Advanced. It's very weird. So that was my prime
Concerns.
yeah, exactly. So, and also crypt acceleration. You play a 10 cap. You actually do have to play crypt acceleration. It's only you have to do that. So I did that.
Adam, what did you want to keep?
Baltimore Purge I know I wanted to keep. The Grey Robbings I was a bit unsure of, but I think they could be useful. So, yeah, the Grey Robbings and the Baltimore Purge seems kinda, you need them, and the freak drives and the stealth, and yeah. This, like what Isaac said, there's so much of this deck that's just totally spot on. There's some things that most of it I feel like I can't change.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
How do you feel? Okay. How did you feel about the library size? 73 cards.
I was hoping it could be brought down to 60 cards, but I never managed to do that. So maybe it can be done. It feels like with a deck like this with stealth in it, and especially if you want to play with a permanent stealth, you can play a 60-card library in any case, I think. Because the stealth makes your actions go through, and if you have good actions, you don't need more than 60 cards. You never need more than 60 cards if you have good actions with the stealth. So theoretically it should be able to brought down to 60 cards, but it was hard, so there's nothing weird with this deck size at all.
Isaac?
Yeah, more or less agree with Adam. For me, the last 10 cards, like going from 70 to 60, is the most difficult ones. Because, at least for me, that's where I need to start. Most decks, at least this is true, I really need to play the deck and get to know it really, really well. To know exactly how many governors do I need in a game? How many purges do I need in a game? How many grave robbings do I need in a game?
Yeah.
So, I think you can get it to 60 cards, and it probably work a lot better than at 70 cards. But if you have it at 70 cards, it's a bit worse, but you can make more mistakes during the course of a game. If you can waste a purge to get blocks or whatever, or you know how many you can waste, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah, have you guys played a lot of Baltimore Purge decks before?
I have.
I haven't.
No.
I have only played against them, but that's quite a lot.
Okay. Cool. So we know what we're talking about. Okay. Are there any? Yeah. Okay. So both of you guys have made one version of the deck where you have opted it, and I have. We are going to take a look at each one of them individually a little bit later on. But before I notice the biggest changes that both of you guys made to the deck was the crypt acceleration, which Isak has already talked about. Adam, have you anything to add to the crypt acceleration bit?
Just that it's really good for 10 caps. Only that should be reason enough. But in a deck like this, where you want to get the purge off, since it's delayed one turn, it's even more important to get it one turn earlier, so that you can get real juicy targets, say before they're villaned or whatnot. So I feel like in a deck like this, it's extra important, since you need to get there before everyone else. It's more important like that.
So the fourth turn you need to be able to do at the latest Baltimore Purge.
Preferably you pull it
Third.
Yeah,
you go fetch it on your third turn, but it gets pulled off in the untap phase of your fourth turn.
Yeah.
That's the ideal.
Yeah. So if you don't draw up Baltimore Purge on your starting hand, you need to start throwing away cards.
Yeah. You have lots of free drives though, so I think you can cycle the hand most of the time.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, and the next thing I've noticed, you both added a card that wasn't in the original, Mind Rape, Isak.
Yes. For me, it's like you play Baltimore Purge, you have a 10 cap with Dominate. Superior, of course, you play Mind Rape. Because, as we mentioned in the show about Mind Rape, if you haven't seen it, I recommend you go and take a look at it. It's an incredibly strong card. And it works really well with Baltimore Purge, because you can use a Mind Raped Vampire to go Diablerize, and then the Diablerist and the Diablerized Vampire, both of them can burn in the referendum that follows.
Yeah.
So it works really well with Purge Mind Rape.
Yeah.
And also you can effectively get your prey to lose 2 vampires, and if you're playing like 10 caps, and you probably might only have 10 caps, 8 caps, 9 caps, and maybe I only have 2 in play, and then he has no vampires and can't deflect you, and you just bleed for everything you got.
Yeah.
Okay. And both of you, at least I don't know how much you took down the stealth pack, but you at least changed it, Adam?
Yeah, I'm not this kind of goes into the Mind Rape thing as well, is that I feel like when you're playing Baltimore Purge and Mind Rape, it's kind of a tap bleed, in a way. Since you want to remove minions from your prey, and when they're removed, then you're allowed, you have the option to start bleeding heavily. So in a way it's like a tap bleed deck, and that's how you want to play it with your actions as well. That means that maybe you don't want as much stealth, or you don't need as much stealth, since you need to control your prey anyway. Yeah, more or less. That's like my reasoning why I don't think you need the stealth to get the purges and the mind rapes through, since there are 0 stealth action, both of them. But aside from those actions, you shouldn't need stealth for bleeding, for instance.
Okay. And you have the Shadow Body card as a stealth. That's kind of a tap.
Yeah, it can be.
Works.
But usually the end result, you very seldom play it at superior with an effect. Because if they played a away card, it doesn't matter. So they need block with an untapped vampire, and obviously it needs to be on the Purge or Superior Govern or Superior Mind Rape or Grave Room, something like that. So, but of course, if they have untapped guys and they don't play a Majesty, for instance, when they block and you play Shadow Body, then it works kind of tappish too. But very seldom in reality you actually get something out of Shadow Body Superior.
Okay.
For me, I didn't even consider the superior effect, to be honest. I think you need combat and less combat defense just to survive, like an Animalism Rush that's quite common right now. To be able to get one action or one turn through, since that turn can change quite a lot with Baltimore Purge and Mind Rapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because the Purge option, like this 10 cap Purge option, is kind of good against girls with Find Aids or Nana Baruka Rush or something, like taking out Nana or so big Animalism Rush vampires. It's very good.
It's also, like, I considered Nocturne first, but I didn't choose Nocturne because you need to get a turn first to be able to play the Nocturnes. Like, you can't play a Nocturne reactively. So in the end I decided to have Commandants. It felt stronger.
Okay. Sweet. Any other like words you have to say about the original before we start going on to our optimized versions?
No, I think I'm done talking about the original.
Okay. Then I think I propose that we take a break and we'll be back with the 2 optimized versions.
Right.
Okay, so this is the end of part 1 of episode 3 of season 2 of Cause and Effect. Stay tuned.